Okay. Okay. What happened? Oh ho. Well, well. So, welcome everyone. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakaramaham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutta Paragamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we are together again, together and simultaneously in so many places. Simultaneous, inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference can be realized simply by using this Zoom program. Today is a special day. Today is the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Kedarnath Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And what better way to celebrate his appearance than to sing one of his songs? And today we have, what is it? Song number something? Number 6 of ātma-nivedana. Bastutoh Sakali Tava Jiva keho aham bhrame bhromi bhoge śoka-bhoy. In truth, all things belong to you. The word Bastutoh, also very Sanskritic Bengali, is from the word vastu, which means substance. So it means really. Also in Hindi, I think. In truth, all things belong to you. No jiva is owner of anything. The tiny soul wanders in this world mistakenly thinking, quote, I am this transitory body and everything related to this body is mine. Thus he suffers sorrow and fear. So the word bhrama means mistake. In the mistake, bhrame, aham, mama, bhromi, he wanders about, or the body transits about. Bhoge śoka-bhoy, with śoka, which means lamentation, and bhoy, bhaya, is fear. So this is the condition of the jiva. In this song, Bhaktivinoda Thakura is, we might say, speaking in a more general way. He is making, in a more general sense, what he's been saying in previous songs, but he's also going to include himself as being implicated by this. The second verse, the conditioned soul is falsely proud and considers everything attached to the words I and mine to be his treasures alone. Aham, mama-abhimāna, ei-mātro, dhan, baddha-jīva, nija, boli, jāne, mon. So the abhimāna, the sentiment or the conviction or the mentality or the conceit of aham, mama, ei-mātro, dhan. This is the only wealth. And these are his treasures, his dhan. Baddha-jīva, of the conditioned soul, nija, boli, boliya, having said or saying, jāne, mon. Is falsely proud, jāne. In this, I guess, this knowing, this way of knowing, he is proud, mon. She-abhimāne ami samsare pariya. Okay, this is where Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about himself. Due to that same vanity, I fell into this world. Yeah, vanity could be another word for abhimāna. I fell into this world, floundering in the ocean of mundane existence. Like a drowning man, I suffer the pangs of rising and sinking in that ocean. And here we have this fun Bengali word, habu-dubu. Śoka-bhoy, ami samsare padiya, having this vanity, ami I samsare padiya, have fallen into this world of samsara. Habu-dubu, which I think he's translating here as floundering, maybe, which could be, or it's the dunking up and down. Habu-dubu kai, bhava-sindhu shantarya. In the ocean of bhava, bhava means literally just existence, material existence. Shantarya, I'm suffering, must be, or else drowning. Then verse 4, I take shelter at your lotus feet, which award fearlessness, and dedicate myself to you on this day. Tomar abhoya-pade loya sharan. At your fearless feet, abhoya-pade, tomar abhoya-pade loya, having taken sharan, shelter, aji, today, ami korilam ātma-nivedana. I have done ātma-nivedana. I have submitted myself, surrendered myself to you. And then number 5, aham mama-abhimāna chadilo amai. Chadilo, I've given it up. The vanity of I and mine has left me now. Ar jeno mama hride stan nahi pai. May it never again find a place within my heart. Ar means again, jeno, by which, mama hride, in my heart, stan, place, a position, a standing, nahi pai, it may not gain. May not gain a place in my heart. Ei-mātro bala prabhu dibe hai amare ahanta mama-abhimāna dure pari rakibare. Oh Lord, please give me this strength. Ei-mātro bala prabhu dibe, please give. Hey amare, oh Prabhu, ei-mātro bala, give me just this strength, that I may be able to keep the false conceptions of I and mine far away. Aham tā-mamatā dure pari rakibare. So rakibare is keeping, dure is distant, pari, I'm not sure, aham tā, and mama-abhimāna, again, very Sanskritic. This is the abstract form. There's aham, is to say I in Sanskrit. Aham tā is I-ness. Mama, mine, mama-abhimāna, mine-ness, the sense of mine. Atma-nivedana-bhāva, Shride Dridadroe, hasti-snāna sama, shoma jeno kanika nahoy. May the mood of self-surrender to the Supreme Lord remain firmly fixed in my heart. Dridharoy, let it remain firmly fixed, and not prove to be like the momentary cleanliness of an elephant, after a bath. Hasti-snāna som jeno konik nahoy. Konik would be kshanak in Sanskrit, I believe, which means a moment. So the elephant, in Polish, swan. Hasti-snāna, the bathing of an elephant, is very nice. And then what does the elephant do after the snan? He sprinkles himself with dirt and with dust. So let my determination not be like that of the elephant, which is no determination at all. Well, so, and then Kshanika, this is also a technical word in philosophy. Kshanika-vada is the philosophy of Buddhists who say there is no reality beyond the moment. There's this moment, the kshanika, and now that kshanika is gone. It's forever gone. And now there's this moment and this moment and this moment. This is a very central notion of Buddhist philosophy, which of course argues, therefore, there is no such thing as Atma, because Atma would be something enduring. They're saying nothing endures, except our philosophy that nothing endures. Okay. And finally, Bhaktivinoda Prabhu Nityananda Pai Mage Parshad Jahe Abhiman Jai. Bhaktivinoda begs at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda for the grace which delivers one from all false pride. Mage Parashad, Prashad. So requesting prasad or mercy, Jahe Abhiman Jai, by which this abhiman of ahamta and mama-abhimāna can be conquered. So this is nice. So anything about the Bengalis, Sugopi, that we should know?
Yeah, pari, you said that you don't know the meaning of pari is to, that I can do, like ami pari, like I can do it. So,
Which verse? Which verse was this?
Sixth one, second line. Ahamta, mama-abhimāna,
pari.
dure pari.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Pari, like, yeah, to do.
Pari, parchi.
And yeah, and Shantariya is actually, we say Shatariya is to swim, like trying to get out of the water by swimming. That is actually pronounced as Shatariya.
Oh, okay. Shatariya.
Yeah, and Habudubu is like coming up of water and then again immersing
dunking
inside.
Down.
Like yeah. So
there's another. Yeah, there's another song from Bhaktivinoda Thakur where he uses that Radha Krishna bol bol bolore sobai. And then there's one line where he speaks of kacha habudubu bai, bobbing up and down in material existence. I like that expression. Okay, well, I guess we could sing it, shall we? Okay. Again, we have Payar style, and we have Kartals. You want them also? No, you have them. Or you can play mridanga and kartal simultaneously. Brihaspati is our backup kartal wala here. Oh, and then we'll have mridanga also. Okay. Bastutoh Sakali Tava Jiva keho aham bhrame bhromi bhoge śoka-bhoy Bastutoh Sakali Tava Jiva keho aham mama-abhimāna ei-mātro dhan baddha-jīva nija boli jāne mama. Se abhimāne ami samsade poriya abudubo bakakai bhava-sindhu santariya. Tomara abhoya-pade loya shara ajiyami korilam ātma-nivedan. Tomara abhoya-pade loya shara ajiyami korilam ātma-nivedan. Aham mama-abhimāna chadilo amai arjeno mama hride Saranagati pai. Mama-abhimāna chadilo amai arjeno mama hride Saranagati. Ei-mātro bala prabhu dibe hai amade aham tā-mamatā dure parirakibare. Ei-mātro ātma-nivedan-bhāva vededridaro hasti-snāna samjeno kaniganaho. Ātma-nivedan-bhāva vededridaro hasti-snāna samjeno kaniganaho. Bhaktivinoda Prabhu Nityananda Pai Mage Parasad Jai Abhimāna Jai Bhaktivinoda. Bastutoh Sakali Tava Jive keho aham bhrame bhromi bhoge śoka-bhoy Tava keho aham bhrame bhromi bhoge śoka-bhoy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo, Nitaya. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Saranagati ki jai, ātma-nivedana ki jai, Gaur Premanande. So while we're on the subject of appearance days, it has come to our attention that just on the exact day of Radhastami, this last week, Audarya Chandrika had her birthday. Speech.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances and Hare Krishna to all the family. Yes, I have had a birthday. It was special because I also got a gift from Srimati Radharani, so I could be helping to do. We did for the Panchatattva a flower outfit from flowers. Whole dress was made with flowers, and all the jewelry, also earrings, everything was from the flowers. So I was part of the team and also part of the Abhishek. So it was so special, and yeah, it was very nice. I tried to grab as much mercy as I could, and yeah, I was very thankful.
You have to watch out for these mercy grabbers.
Why?
Just kidding.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, so happy birthday, and many, many more to come in Krishna's service. Okay, we have some show and tell today. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I apologize, I didn't hear it well. I thought I've heard my name, but
Yes, you heard your name.
Hare Krishna, everyone, and Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Kshetra Swami Krishna Kshetra Swami Shilavita Gunadana Kalagita Nitanam Bhakti Savanda Koyam tā-mamatā. I thought to say Pranama because we never know how long this life is going to last. So as Odaya Chandrika said, she grabs the mercy as much as she can. I'm trying to do a similar thing. So I wouldn't like to have any regrets later. Well, I came up with I was thinking to update you of my little gardening. I hope it's not too boring. That's what I do. In between the chanting, reading, cleaning, working, and cooking. So now the season in England is changing. It's quite gloomy here in the UK. 13 degrees today, and it doesn't look like the summer's going to come back. So the gardening is also taking it's another turn in autumn. So we're growing now some autumn vegetables, winter vegetables, and collecting seeds for the next year of different flowers. So, and also I was using the all different types of herbs that I dry them, and I will be using them for different purposes, for healing and for cooking. And that actually a few days ago, that reminded me of a story of Hanuman when he was flying over to Himalayas to collect a special herb to cure Lakshman, who got injured by, I think his name was Indrajit, if I'm not mistaken, from Ramayana. And then I was searching and reading that story and pastime over and over again. And I'd like to say that that special herb that Hanuman didn't collect, but he took the whole mountain. It's called Sanjeevani. Sometimes you can find it as Sanjeevani boot, BWTI, booty. And that herb is special, and it can cure nervous system, and also helps an unconscious person, as Lakshman was in that pastime. It's just reminded me of that pastime. And again, I'm going back to connecting the externals, the things that I do personally, trying to connect it with Krishna's pastimes. Otherwise, all this other experience is just sort of doesn't have any life in it. if it's not connected with the real life with Krishna. And that would be my tell for today. And show, I'd like to show you these weird little containers which I recycle different containers, and I put herbs in them, dried herbs, and I also put the names of the herbs and the year when I dry them, and I use them in cooking and for different teas for different body purposes. It's also one, and I also mix herbs as well together. And these are my little seeds that I put in, and I can see it. Different types of flowers that are edible, and also they are very good for bees, and they smell very nice and can be offered to Krishna on a daily basis. So through the early spring till the late autumn. That was my show and tell for today. Thank you for listening. I hope it wasn't boring.
No, thank you. Speaking of plants and growing and flowers and gardens and all such, some days ago, Kavichandra told me about this app for the mobile phone called Plant Snap.
I have that.
Oh, so now I also have it, because when I'm outdoors, you know, there's different trees, different flowers, different plants, and I'm looking at them and thinking, there's a plant, there's another plant, and there's another plant. Oh, and there's a flower. So now with this app, it's possible you just photograph it and you send it, and comes back information about that.
Yes, it's very useful, and it's enjoyable if you go for walks outside and you really want to know about that plant or wildflower. Yes, I've been doing that for a while now. I'd like to add something else, that I was very inspired by a little video that Kavichandra Prabhu did of the garden in Sadhu-bhavan, and I saw there is a meditation area, with some circles, and then I was researching on that what's the tranquil part of the garden that we would like to make. Actually, I would like to make here, and it entails different elements in it, water and the stone, and there's some circles as well. And so I'm doing research on that, and I hope next spring we'll start part of the garden turning it into a meditation garden. And my Govardhan hill is coming through now, and Jai Lakshman's daughter is making, she's an artist, Jamuna, and she's making a made of wood that her husband cuts for her and prepares it. She's going to do the painting and carving for my Govardhan hill, which will say Giri Govardhan. So it gradually, I hope gradually garden will be turned into sort of meditation place.
Yeah, very good. Actually, there's you can say real gardens where you sit in the garden as a meditation place, and then you can also have a garden in your meditation. So you can create a meditation garden in your meditation, which can be a kind of manasa puja, where you create a place for Krishna, and then Krishna might allow you to also be in that place that you create in your mind. So that is a form also of getting to our subject of Dham Sevana, Dham Seva.
Thank you so much for the knowledge. That's a wonderful idea.
Okay. So nobody else for show and tell today? Everyone's so shy. I see Trisama here today. Yeah. He's a little bit hiding though, but oh, there he is. Okay. Dzień dobry panu. He's keeping silent. We don't hear you.
Oh, maybe now?
Ah,
Hare Krishna
now we
Maharaj.
hear you.
Dzień dobry. Dzień dobry panu. We moved
So
to another
sweetheart.
place. We live here only 1 month. We have new stable and new home. And we plan to visit you for a few days soon, I hope, in this next month, in September, to Sadhu-bhavan.
Okay.
Gorish with
Right.
horses out now. I am cooking and listening.
I see. Well, your son is here.
I can listen him.
You can hear him. You could recognize his mridanga playing.
Yeah.
But they're leaving today.
Oh,
Yeah.
and maybe we can change. Maybe I can go.
Yeah, we can do something like that. Okay, good. So maybe I should do something show and tell. As I've told you, I think told everyone some weeks ago, I'm working on this book called Krishna's Wonderful Form. And I'm gradually continuing on it over the days in between other things. And right now I'm working on a section, pretty much completed a section about Krishna's daily schedule, means the temple, the worship schedule. And we have this Swami speaking. His name is very similar to my name, Krishna Kshetra. And there's 3 different people that he's speaking to, young people. One is Jake, one is Jake's older sister Angela, and Robindra, Jake's friend and they became friends at their martial arts class. And Jake is a little bit, he's a kind of a funny guy in a way. So I'll jump into, if you'll be patient and indulge me, I'll read a little of this. I'll try not to read too fast since we have translation going on. I explain the word Sringara, which means the whole, everything together of dressing and decoration all together. That is called Sringara. It can also mean elegant dress, according to the dictionary. And I explained that typically the Sringara will reflect and highlight some feature of the season, a particular festival, and even just the particular day of the week. On festival days especially, the shringara can be very elaborate. And then Angela says, as I remember, Swami, you said before that darshan is seeing with understanding. And weren't you also saying that part of this understanding is to know that we are being seen by Krishna at the same time that we are seeing him in the temple? And the Swami nods, and then she says, but aren't we being seen by Krishna all the time, wherever we are? And the Swami says, absolutely. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga helps us cultivate that sense of being always seen and cared for by Krishna. And one way to help us develop this consciousness is to visit Krishna in the temple, to see him and be seen by him. A bonus is that we get to see Krishna in his wonderful form, decorated in wonderful ways. And then Jake says, and the other bonus is that one gets prasadam. And the Swami says, yes, I was just going to say, after this morning darshan, what we also call the morning greeting, Krishna will be offered his breakfast, after which he is offered a short arati reception. Then it will be time for the temple community residents to have their breakfast, consisting of the preparations that have been offered to and sanctified by Krishna. And then Jake says, I hope that after breakfast it's nap time. After getting up at 4 in the morning, and the Swami says, not really. Around mid-morning in these larger Krishna temples, the cooks will start preparing Krishna's lunch, which in many temples is the largest meal of the day, with several preparations. The idea is that Krishna is a growing boy with a terrific appetite, and by midday or early afternoon, he's especially hungry since he's been out in the fields with his friends, herding the cows and playing. I should say pastures here. And then Rabindra says, isn't there a Bengali song about what Krishna has for lunch? And the Swami says, yes, I'm surprised you know about that, Rabindra. An important Bhakti Yoga teacher, Bhaktivinoda Thakura, wrote many devotional songs in the late 19th century. The one you're thinking of describes a grand lunch prepared by Radharani for Krishna, listing at least 20 or 30 different preparations. It also describes how Krishna enjoys the meal with his young cowherd friends, with Radha and her friends watching shyly from the side with great delight. And then Jake says, I hope Krishna gets a nap after lunch. And the Swami says, he does indeed. After the midday arati, the pujari, the priest attending to Radha and Krishna on the altar, now arranges for them to have a rest. The sanctum will be closed, or it can be that the whole temple will be closed. Then again, in the afternoon, around 4 o'clock or 4:30, Krishna and Radha are awakened. They have a snack consisting mainly of fresh fruit, and then they're again visible to the public. I've seen in some Krishna temples in Vrindavan, this will be the time that at least one, if not several musicians will come and begin singing what are called bhajans, songs in praise of Krishna and his pastimes, usually in Bengali, Hindi, or the local language of Vrindavan, Brajabhasha. This music creates a special, relaxed atmosphere. At such times, I've had the distinct feeling that Krishna is very much present, listening to and enjoying the singing, which is always meant for his pleasure. And as the afternoon becomes early evening, gradually more people will gather there after the day's work. Some people will speak with each other in soft voices, while others will just sit quietly, gazing at the forms of Krishna and Radha. Some might join in the singing, and others will sit with their eyes closed. And then Jake says, yes, it was just like that when I visited the London Radha Krishna temple one afternoon. The atmosphere was such a contrast from the bustle of downtown London, half a block from Oxford Street. I was a bit surprised to see the variety of people visiting at the time. There were young, middle-aged, and older people, Westerners, as well as people from Asian backgrounds, and one young couple I spoke with briefly who were from Ghana, Africa. I want to give a picture of multicultural temple. Then the Swami, smiling, says, Krishna is called all-attractive for a reason. So, continuing my description of Krishna's daily routine, in the evening, he has another substantial meal, one that is likely to include some preparations that are deep fried in ghee, clarified butter. Again, this meal will be followed by an arati ceremony, which is typically well attended in many temples, even on weekdays. I've seen in the Radharaman temple in Vrindavan how every evening, while the arati was offered to Krishna by the priest, a group of maybe 5 or 7 older gentlemen would stand facing Krishna and singing in unison, in full-throated a cappella, a particular song that describes the arati event in the local Braj Bhasha language. Others present would join in or simply listen and observe the arati. As the evening fades into night and most visitors have left the temple, Krishna receives a final snack, then appears one last time while possibly a single musician will sing a lullaby for him. In some of the larger temples, Krishna will appear at this time in his night outfit. And then I have a subsection beginning here called Krishna's wardrobe. Angela asks, are Krishna's night outfits some sort of pajamas? And the Swami smiles and says, not in the same way we in the West usually think of pajamas. It's usually a simpler style than the day outfit, but these are charming garments. Krishna wears very few, if any, jewels and ornaments at this time. This will be how Krishna appears the next morning during his first darshan at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And Angela asks, and are there different outfits for each day? And the Swami says, yes. As I started to say earlier, in large temples, Krishna is likely to have a sizable wardrobe with lighter clothing for summer and warmer, heavier clothing for winter. There are garments of all colors and styles of cloth, typically with rich embroidery. For major festivals, it's also typical for the temple management to arrange for a new outfit to be made. And this is usually sponsored by a patron of the temple. And there are dressmakers, both in India and increasingly elsewhere, who specialize in making outfits for temple murtis. Quite some creative design is involved and a lot of highly detailed stitching work. And then Rabindra says, someone might say, well, if Krishna is a cowherd boy, why does he wear all these fancy clothes? And the Swami says, that's a reasonable question. There are several descriptions of Krishna as he appears in Vrindavan. True, he likes simplicity in accordance with the mood of simple pastoral charm, characterized as madhurya bhava, the spirit of sweetness. But remember what I said a minute ago about serving Radha and Krishna as if they are Lakshmi and Narayana. I had explained this just before I started reading today. This is called Aishvarya Bhava, the spirit of opulence. Since we understand that Krishna is the original or primordial form of Bhagavan, the Supreme Person, he possesses within himself all the other forms. Similarly, as Bhagavan, he is the possessor or embodiment of all opulence or plenitude. The devotees like to highlight his opulence as a reminder for themselves and others that any sort of riches appearing in this world are, as Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, merely a spark of his splendor. Then Jake says, someone might also say, okay, but if Krishna's form consists in Satchit Ananda, ever existence, full awareness, and oceanic joy, as you were explaining the other day, why do you have to dress his form at all? Wouldn't it be better to see his naked form? Everyone laughs, and then Jake says, sorry if this is being impertinent, but someone might make such a challenge. And the Swami says, it's actually a good point. I would reply like this. There are three considerations. First, when Krishna was present on earth, he wore clothes, except when he was a baby and a small child. In India, it is common to see small children, boys at least, wearing nothing but a little waistband with bells and maybe an ankle ornament with bells. And indeed, many people in India worship Krishna in this form, as they like to cultivate the mood of caring for Krishna as if he is dependent on them in the role of parents. This is called vatsalya-bhava, the mood or conceit of relating with the Lord as one's dear dependent. My second point is that whatever their particular mood of relating with Krishna, devotees like to serve him in ways that reflect the ways of acting in this world. We all wear clothes and we like to dress up sometimes. Similarly, Krishna likes to dress up. And he welcomes the devotee's attitude of service in doing such dressing. As Krishna doesn't need our food offerings, yet he accepts and relishes these when prepared nicely and offered with devotion. Similarly, Krishna doesn't need our offerings of garments, and yet he happily accepts these when they are well made and offered devotionally. And a third consideration is that the form of Krishna that is, as you pointed out, Satchit Ananda, is not limited to the physical form of the image. So we can comprehend his form as being inclusive of all the paraphernalia, the regalia associated with Krishna. As we understand Krishna's names to be non-different from Krishna, in like manner, we can regard the various objects associated with Krishna as non-different from him. And that's as far as I've written this morning. I still have to explain arati and a few more things. We'll see what remains. Yeah, so that's my little one of my writing projects. I hope I didn't go too fast for our translator.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay.
We were able to translate.
You were able, okay, good. I realized though, just as I was finishing, I could have shared the screen and then you could have read. It would have been easier for you. Next time we'll do like that. Actually,
Okay,
I will
good
share
idea.
the screen. Good idea. I will share the screen now as we go into our subject of the 5 types of Dhama. Because I want to start with a quote from Srila Prabhupada. Here it is. Oops. Okay. Oh, I have to move some more things to get out of the way. No. Okay. This is an excerpt from an article. I think it must be a quite early article from Back to Godhead. It was written by Hayagriva Prabhu, and I don't know, but this may be an extracted from his book. He wrote a book called Vrindavan Days, and he's describing his own experience being together with Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. And this was, pretty sure it was in 1972. And so, yeah, I will just read and we'll see the connection. Well, I'll say first, he is, I want to refer to this because we're talking about Drishyamana Dhama, that form of the Dham, of Boma Vrindavan, which is in which the devotees perceive the presence of the Lord, despite the Lord's apparent absence. And so here we have Srila Prabhupada speaking in Vrindavan, and let's see what he says. This is, I'll start from where Prabhupada speaks. This is happening in the courtyard of the Radha Damodar temple, in the back where Srila Rupa Goswami's Samadhi and his Bhajan Kutir are situated. Hayagriva says, sometimes it is hard to hear Srila Prabhupada above the chatter of the birds, and sometimes a monkey fight temporarily interrupts the lecture. Well, now they've completely enclosed that area, so there are no monkeys inside. Okay, Prabhupada says, when Krishna comes, he appears here in Vrindavan. Therefore, this Vrindavan Dham is so important to the devotees. And Hayagriva says, I look around and consider the veil of Maya over my eyes. And when it is removed, I recall years previous, amidst the soot and traffic roar of New York's Lower East Side, that Srila Prabhupada said, quote, there is a speck covering your eye, and when it is removed, you will see all this as Vaikuntha. Now he delivers the same message, quote, everyone can see God. It is not very difficult. God is everywhere. In Bhagavad Gita, he describes himself. Everyone drinks water, and Krishna says, I am the taste of water. Atheists are always saying, show me God. But if you have the eyes to see God, you can see him everywhere. If you become saintly by austerities, you can see God everywhere. If you are a materialist, you can also see God in the sun and moon. Those who are impersonalists can see God in that way. Hiranyakashipu challenged God, so God came before him as death. God is willing to reveal himself according to our expectations. All rasas are there in Krishna. We can enjoy loving pleasure with Krishna in any rasa, and Krishna is ready to respond in any rasa. The gopis came to Krishna out of lust, but their lust became purified. Try to approach Krishna in some way or another. Kamsa was also Krishna conscious, but he thought of Krishna as an enemy. Nonetheless, he was liberated. So, what to speak of those who are in love with Krishna? Krishna is like the sun. He purifies everything. Whatever way you approach Krishna, you will become purified. Divert your attention to Krishna, and that is love. You have a particular relationship with Krishna, which will gradually be revealed as you follow the rules of the acharyas. Just as the desire for sex is in all entities and becomes manifest at the right age, so Swarupa Siddhi, our constitutional position, becomes manifest at the right time. That's an interesting analogy. The sun becomes visible when it rises. You cannot force the sun to rise at midnight. Be patient, render devotional service, and wait. Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada speaking of his Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, Guru Maharaj said, don't try to see Krishna, just get Krishna to see you. Try to get his attention by serving him under the orders of the spiritual master. So this is a nice expression of the process of seeing Krishna, and in relation to what we're reading, what we're discussing, we are reading from we're reading from Shivaram Swami's book, Navavraja Mahima, and we're discussing about Drishyamana Dhama, and we actually got beyond Drishyamana Dhama to the next type of Dhama, which is the Dhama in the heart of great devotees. One thing I wanted to say in connection with Dhama as a whole, there's also a history of the Dhamma's appearance and covering, and again uncovering. And that history is, we may say, a significant part of the story of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The fact that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent the Goswamis to Vrindavan, I believe he first sent Lokanath Swami, Goswami, and there was a friend of Lokanath Goswami named Bhugarbha. Their samadhis are also in the courtyard of the samadhis of the Radha Damodar temple. And then Rupa, Sanatan, and eventually all the others, Jiva, Gopal Bhatta, Goswamis. Raghunath Bhatta also came there, and Raghunath Das Goswami. they all assembled over some time in Vrindavan. And one of the tasks given to them by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to rediscover the places of pastimes of the Lord. A little known additional person who had the same task, and I don't know more about him than what I say, but there was one Narayana Bhatta who also had the task, apparently from his guru, and here I'm not knowing the background, who is his guru. He's not referred to in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but he also was in Braj, and he wrote a book, and that book is called Braja Bhakti Vilasa. And that book is describing all the different places of Krishna's pastime with considerable details of how one should perform devotional service in those places. We see a similar activity going on in Navadvip with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. As we know, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance day today, we want to refer to him. Bhaktivinoda Thakur rediscovered the place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance with the help, with the confirmation of Jagannath Das Babaji. And other places. He also wrote a book on Navadviptam called Navadviptam Mahatmya, in which he describes a parikrama. If I remember, someone can correct me, but I think it's Nityananda Prabhu giving a guided tour to Jiva Goswami. Yeah? Sounds right. Or that was in Vrindavan. Yeah, also in the Bhakti Ratnakara, I think it's chapter 5, there's an extensive touring of Vrindavan. We get a brief touring of Vrindavan in Chaitanya Charitamrita when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to Vrindavan. We know he stayed there a short time, 2 months, and then left. Although it seemed like he wanted to just stay there, nobody else wanted him to stay. No, they didn't push him out. The problem was his ecstasy was too much for him. So this rediscovering of the places of pilgrimage and also the renovation of places in the Dhama. So, well, again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself rediscovers Radha Kunda. Before he came, Radha Kunda was a little mud pond, a small muddy pond in a field of a farmer. And then came Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he understood this is not just some muddy pond. This is Radhakunda itself. And so then later, Jiva Goswami was very successful in doing some fundraising, and the Radhakunda that we see today with the grand stepways all around and so on is now there. other renovation projects are going on at the present day. Well, I believe some renovation projects are going on. I've seen there have been efforts to clean Vrindavan, to replant, to plant more trees in Vrindavan. There, from time to time, there are cleaning programs. People come, volunteers, and they clean up the garbage that seems to collect. On the other side, there seems to be efforts at times to cover over Vrindavan more than it is in the form of ever-increasing construction. And just recently, just some years back, within the last 20 years, there was this completely crazy idea of the government to build a highway around the, what would be the eastern side of Vrindavan, running right through the Yamuna River. They had this like a causeway they were building that would run along the river or in the middle of the river going the direction of the river. And they built these huge concrete pilings, and the people of Vrindavan were shocked and devastated. How could anything like this happen? Fortunately, the whole project was stopped. There was rallying of some political, it sort of woke up some of the senior people of Vrindavan, some of the leaders, and they were able to get it stopped. But this is an ongoing challenge in Vrindavan. And therefore, we may say in some sense, therefore, efforts are made to make new Vrindavans. But leading up to that story, we have this story, or this understanding of the Dhama, that the Dhama is in the hearts of great devotees. I guess I read this paragraph last week, but to remind myself, okay, it's referring to a verse, Sabrat Purusham Dhama Brajamano Yata Ravi, while carrying the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart, Vasudeva bore the Lord's transcendentally illuminating effulgence, Dhama, and thus he became as bright as the sun. This is going to describe what in the Christian tradition will be called an immaculate conception.
Guru Maharaj, can you repeat what conception?
Immaculate.
Immaculate. Okay.
Without any imperfection, without any fault. Nyepokalana. Pochangche.
Thank you.
Okay, we're getting help from the sidelines here. Okay, the word Dhamma appears in this verse. In the verse itself, Srila Prabhupada translates Dhamma as transcendentally illuminating effulgence. But in the purport, he says that, quote, it refers to the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. He goes on to say that if one is empowered by the Lord, the core of one's heart becomes a Dhama. Okay, so this is the key point. If empowered by the Lord, the core of one's heart becomes a Dhama. Why is that? Because we understand wherever the Lord is, there is also his Dhama. So if our heart, if the Lord is situated, is manifest, because we're interested in the manifestation of the Dhama. If the Lord is manifest in the heart, the Dhama will be manifest. And this makes one spiritually powerful. Prabhupada also refers to the verse, the very first verse of the Bhagavatam, in which we get these, get the word Dhamna Svena Sada. Prabhupada explains any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present by his name, form, qualities, or paraphernalia, immediately becomes a Dhamma. So yeah, when the Lord appears in the heart, the Dhamma also appears. Now, one may well ask, all right, so how advanced does a devotee have to be for that to happen? You want to know? Yes, we want to know. Rupa Goswami says that only the power of loving devotion can draw Krishna into the heart. Sri Krishna Karshini Mata. This word akarshini, akarshana. Karshana means to pull or pulling. It's from the same root as the name Krishna. Krishna is all pulling. He is all attractive. He's pulling everyone. This is Krishna. And akarshini, Krishna akarshini, the attraction, or actually she, I think, feminine, who is attracting Krishna. And then we have a famous quote. Many of you will know this verse. Premanjana Chrita Bhakti Vilochanena Santasadeva Yesha Vilokayanti Yang Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Sarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shama Sundara, Krishna himself with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. So the word Anjana is salve. A prema anjana is a salve of love. And when the eyes, the vilochana, are tinged, churita, with bhakti, then santaha, the saints, sada, always, sada eva, hridayeshu vilokayanti, they see vilokayanti, hridayeshu, in their hearts. Who do they see? Shamasundaram. Yam Shamasundaram. That, it's actually Govindam, who is Shamasundar, or the other way around, Shamasundar, who is Govinda, and who is Achintya Guna Swarupam, whose form is consisting of inconceivable gunas. And of course, here the word guna means quality in the positive sense, not in the sense of the three gunas, the modes of material nature. Then it's explained, the Dhama is included in the inconceivable, innumerable attributes referred to by the words Achintya Guna Swarupam. And so from this verse, we understand such persons are carrying the Dhamma in their heart. Oh yes, okay. Okay, so we've gone through 4 different types of Dhamma. Now we should make a little quiz. What are these 4? Anyone want to tell us who is the what is the first Dhamma? Everyone's being too shy.
Aprakata.
Aprakata. Okay. Can you be more specific?
Non-manifested.
Oh, he likes these abstract terms. We want something non-abstract.
Prakata.
No, you're on the wrong track. What is the original place where Krishna lives?
Golokadam, Maharaj.
Yes, Golokadam.
Yeah.
And for the residents of Golokadama, there's nothing aprakata about it. There's nothing non-manifest. It is all manifest. Okay, and then what is the next?
Bhoma. Bhoma Dhamma.
Bhoma Vrindavan. Yes. The earthly Vrindavan, specifically the earthly Vrindavan where Krishna manifests his pastimes. Okay, now we have the term prakata. He manifests his pastimes. That is Bhoma Vrindavan. Then we have, what do we have?
Drishyamana.
Drishyamana Dhama, which is the Vrindavan, which is the Dhama invisible for ordinary persons, visible for the santas. And I think here we may want to say partially visible for those who are on the path. Certainly, when we visit Vrindavan, there are occasions and opportunities, maybe very strongly, where we feel Krishna's presence, isn't it? So sometimes in anthropologists, when they speak and write about pilgrimage, I took part in this academic conference on pilgrimage a few weeks ago. So sometimes they will use the term thin place a thin place, a place where people claim that there is only a thin veil covering some kind of higher reality. That is a general expression used for holy places of all different traditions, that people feel there's something special about this place. Why? Because there's a sense of being close to something that's beyond this world. It's a thin place. It's a place where you can access more easily. So Vrindavan, for the devotees, is very much like that. Another term from within the tradition is tirtha. And what does tirtha mean? Literally, it means a crossing place. And historians say it was applied to any place on a river where it was easy to cross over to the other side. Maybe the water was shallow, and so you could cross. You could just wade across, and you could bring your cows across. And that place became a popular place because you can cross the river there, and then eventually it would become a holy place. So that's sort of the mundane understanding of tirtha. The devotional understanding is that a tirtha is a place that's especially favorable for crossing not just a river, but crossing this world, crossing the Viraja River. A few years ago, we had this yatra through Odisha, going north from Puri up to Mayapur, and we stopped at a place where there were some temples, and it was the Viraja River. And we heard that if you swim across, then you're liberated. And so some devotees did that. They swam, well, it's worth it. Let's try it. Okay. Okay, then Drishyamana, and then we just had what was the fourth type?
Dhamma in the heart. Dhamma
Yes,
our heart.
Yes, the Dhamma in the heart of great devotees. In other words, yes, we can say Krishna's in our heart, whether we know it or not, and therefore the Dhamma is there. But the idea here is for one for whom Krishna is really manifest in the heart, then we speak of that person as having the Dhamma in the heart. And this leads us into the fifth of these categories, the Dhamma manifested by great devotees. And Shivaram Swami quotes Yudhishthira Maharaj when he greets his uncle Vidura, who has been traveling on pilgrimage, according to one source, for the last 30 years. And so he has completely missed the war, the battle of Kurukshetra. He comes back home after the battle, and Yudhishthira honors him with these words. Bhavad vidha bhagavatas tirthabhuta svayam prabho vibho tirti kurvanti tirtani svanta stenagata brita. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. So Vidura, having the Lord in his heart, therefore having the Dhama in his heart, wherever he goes, that becomes a Dhama. That's the idea. So they carry in the heart, and then they're creating a place of pilgrimage. He gives as another example the life of Haridas Thakur. Haridas resided for some time in a cave by the bank of the Ganga at Pulia. His cave was transformed into a place of Lord Krishna's pastimes or Vrindavan by his chanting the Maha-mantra. This is quoting from some source in the notes. I'd have to look. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur comments on this, and he cites a song composed by his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jedin grihe bhajana daki, grihete goloka bhai. One day, while performing devotional service, I saw my house transformed into Goloka Vrindavan. Okay, this brings us now back to the subject of real life for all of us in our assorted houses and apartments, wherever we are. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur suggests that it is possible through the practice of bhakti to have such experience. Jedina grihe bhajana daki, grihete goloka bhaya. One day, I was doing my routine devotional service, and suddenly I saw my house is not just my house, it's Goloka. Anyone experience that? Daitesha. Well, it's possible.
Yeah, I guess.
Why not? Why not? Even in Argentina. Okay. So, first point, such devotees, wherever they go, the place they go is sanctified. It appears from these examples, however, that these devotees make no conscious effort to bring about such divine transformations. Rather, these places seem to be involuntarily or inadvertently transformed into holy dhammas by contact with the potency of these great souls. The question then arises, can or does a devotee ever establish the Dhamma in a specific place by conscious effort? And the answer to this question is da. Yes. Tak. Just as a devotee inspired from within, or in Mandarin, dui. Just as a devotee inspired from within by the potency of bhakti can give devotion to others, he, or I would add she, can establish holy places at his own discretion, again inspired by bhakti. And he elaborates on how the devotee can deliberately bestow mercy, his grace, svakripa shakti on others, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And of course, this is the Lord's empowerment to make this possible. Then he goes back to the example of Krishna's father, Vasudeva. Why was he effulgent? Because he sheltered within his heart the divine potency of Krishna and Krishna's abode. And from his heart, Krishna was transferred to the heart of Devaki, Krishna's mother. This is this immaculate conception. Shukadeva Swami describes the Lord's appearance within Devaki, and he gives a longer quote there, which I won't read now. But regarding that Immaculate Conception, Srila Prabhupada quotes, he doesn't very often quote Viraraghava Acharya, but Viraraghava Acharya is one of the Acharyas who has written a commentary on the Bhagavatam, I believe possibly on the entire Bhagavatam. And this commentary is included in the collection of commentaries which Srila Prabhupada used when he did his translation. Viraraghava is from the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. So Prabhupada quotes him. He says, that this transfer was completely a heart-to-heart relationship. And then Srila Prabhupada defines initiation in this context as the process by which the Guru transfers Krishna from his heart to the heart of his disciple. Isn't that interesting? This is a transfer, a heart-to-heart transfer from the Guru to the disciple of Krishna. And this subject of initiation brings us to a point where we want to have a little, how shall we call it, kalakanta? Is this an initiation?
Well, Guru Maharaj, I don't know. You're the expert, I don't know.
Kalakanta is here with us together with his good wife, Madana Gopala Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my obeisances. Hare Krishna, everybody.
So, both Kalakanta and Madana Gopala have been in this relationship of shiksha-shishya for some time now. How long has it been now?
Well, around 3 years, I'd say.
No, since 2012, 13, something like that.
Oh, it's been some time. The years are flying by.
Exactly.
13. So maybe 7 or 8 years.
7 or 8 years.
Wow.
Wow.
2014, and when we tried to move back here, and by that time we were already developing a relationship with you as a shiksha. So I remember before we came, we met with you and kind of requested your mercy as our shiksha guru, and then when you came here, we came here, you came here, then we went to meet you also in Campina Grande. We were already in that relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So Madana Gopala has been wanting to have some sort of change to her name. And after careful discussion and consideration, we have come to the conclusion that this is possible, it can be done, and it's appropriate. And so this is what we want to take this time with the presence and the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, that we make this change. And why is there need for this change? Well, as Madan Gopal has explained to me, too often devotees ask her why it is that she has a name of a male person. Why is it a male name, Madana Gopala? And so this is perhaps, it doesn't have to be a problem because it's, of course, dasi, servant of, just like someone can be Krishna dasi, servant of Krishna, that's all right. But still, we should feel somehow happy with our names. I feel this is helpful for spiritual life to be happy with our names. Yeah? So I have been thinking about this, reflecting, and thinking again and reflecting again. And I believe we've come up with a name which could be appropriate if you agree. Now she's really excited. So the name we have for you now is Srimati Madana Jivani Devidasi.
Oh. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. So that's Madana Jivani Devidasi.
Yes. She who gives life to Madana, to the transcendental Cupid, who of course is Krishna. So Madana Jivani would be a name of Srimati Radharani.
Oh, thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. It's so beautiful. Please serve my business.
Hare Krishna.
Symbolically, I have here my new kanti.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can figure out what to do about that.
Wow, thank you so much. So it's special name, and to me it also means like officially, because it's like strengthening our relationship as Guru disciple. It's very important, very meaningful to me. And as you said, the Guru transfers Krishna to the heart of the disciple. And it was such a beautiful lecture today. I've been reading Navaraj Mahima as well. I've read that part about the dhan. And as you're reading and describing even the samadhis in Vrindavan, I could visualize the samadhi of Bhagavad Goswami, you know, the samadhis in the Yamuna. So it's beautiful. I hope, I pray I can keep all these instructions in my heart and be able to serve in
Hare Krishna.
Part of this family.
Yes.
So much.
Yes, and all best wishes to you. You have the best of company with your good husband, who is none other than the GBC Minister of Cow Protection and Agriculture. So he's not going to let you starve.
Indeed, I feel very fortunate to have him as a husband because he's always very patient and very Krishna conscious. And I always see him like stretching beyond sometimes human to do his service and help devotees and support the family. So I'm very grateful. And also grateful for my daughters.
I was just going to ask, where are they?
Nara's just here. She's sitting on the floor. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, there. Hare Krishna.
So she's been chanting 16 rounds and worshiping the deities every day. She's very fixed and she reads Krishna Prabhupada's books every day. And wow. Nanda, she just corrected me 12 rounds. And Nanda is on and off. She's hearing, she goes and comes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Jai. Madana Jivani Devi Dasi ki Jai.
Jai Haribol.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, we have a question from Dira Lalita, and we have 2 minutes. What is the purpose of evil creatures appearing at the place of God worship? Well, I don't know quite what you have in mind here, but this world is a world of disturbance. There will be disturbing beings and disturbance, even in a place of worship, may be to remind us that we're not quite yet at Goloka Dhama. It could also be that those beings are being purified, whether they know or not. Example is Kamsa. There are stories of Kamsa coming to Vrindavan. In fact, in one of his appendices, Shivaram Swami tells a story. I guess it's a local tradition in Vrindavan that Kamsa hears about these beautiful young girls in Vrindavan, and he wants to see, and he comes to this one pukur, kunda, and I forget if he just dips his hand in or his whole body, but he comes out transformed into a young gopi. And his reaction is that this is a terrible thing. And the reason it's terrible is because his soldiers are nearby, and what will they think when they see him? So he's really worried about this. He ends up going to, he's met by Lalita Devi. She takes him to meet Shrimati Radharani because she's the only one who can release Kamsa from this gopi body. So he goes to Radharani, and Radha scolds him and forces him to plead on his knees and to promise not to send any more demons to Vrindavan. And finally, after so much humiliation, she says, all right, go back to that kunda and touch it again, and you'll be back in your stupid Kamsa body. So that's
That was the best story ever. Thank you, Guru.
I think it's a local tradition. I don't know if that's in any shastra.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so thank you all very much. Thank you for coming together, taking this time out of our busy schedules. And I wish you a wonderful week this coming week. We're entering into the month of September. I am going to be staying where I am. And online, I'm going to be going, where am I going? Well, various meetings. I'm going to China, and more meetings. Yeah, that's about it. The next week I'll be visiting Berlin online, and I'll also be visiting Western Africa. Oh yes, and the Polish farm next Saturday. Huh? Next Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning, we have a lecture at New Shantipur. Okay, thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Goti Vaishnava ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Krishna Kshetra Maharaj ki.
Jai. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Guru Maharaj. Namaskar.